to the first official episode of the Squawk Talk podcast, the #1 Australian Pokemon TCG podcast, where we cover all your local news from the Singapore meta, local Australian meta, and the Japanese meta. We also cover a lot of the regionals that are happening around the world. We had a couple of big ones over the weekend, which we're going to talk about today. We've got some new cards on Poker Beach, I think like 3 new ones, a couple of reprints. We also had the Double Cup weekend here in Sydney, I believe. And then we'll talk about the upcoming meta and have a look at some meta shares as well. Let's kick it off. How you going, fellas? We're joined here with Aaron, with Drew, and Hayden.
What's up?
Yeah, how you guys going? So, Hayden, you won on Friday, right? There was a league challenge, yeah? You got yourself on your hands on an ETB.
Yes, sir. Quite lucky to actually get some there. They sold out within the first half hour. It was like 60 products. Sold them and that was it. So,
Okay.
yeah, actually managed to win the league challenge there and snag an ETB.
Sweet. And
Split it with one of the boys and then, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about that a little bit later. Drew, how did you go? We kind of had just an alright run, but we had an epic battle though, right?
Yeah, started off hard, but came back in the end in the last 3, but just missed out of top 8. Ended up 9th.
Yeah. And Aaron, you did alright actually.
Unexpected. So it's whoa, that's not unexpected. There's a bit of a kick to the gut there. Actually, yeah, since the last recording, actually got points on the board. Two different challenges, but I believe Hayden, you won up to me by winning the challenge on Friday and then going back to back, right, for finalising your four challenges.
Yes, sir. Kept the BFL, went back to back in less than 24 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How many points are you on now, Hayden?
I think I'm at 174. This is
170.
nothing to scream about, but
And where are you in our top 20 positions in the standings? Where are you in that?
I am sitting in the top 100. I think I'm in, at the time of recording, I think 96 right now.
You're getting there, man.
Well.
You're getting there. They're going to increase the
A little bit
of
short.
other people.
Yeah. Get those regionals on, dude, that man.
That's it. Sweet. So we've got some new cards to get into, boys. I'm going to head over to Poker Beach and just jump straight into it. So there's like 3 new cards here, or 4 new cards here, right? And then these 3 reprints.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we got... Okay, let's just jump with the first one. So we got Hops Pinkerton EX. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a lightning Pokemon. 200 HP. It's a basic. It has the ability counter attack Quills. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if the Pokemon is knocked out, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So it lets you kind of extend your damage or increase your damage. And then for 2 lightning and a colorless, we have Spike Thunder for 120 damage, and you just draw 2 cards. Some nice consistency there. How do we feel about Hops Pinkerton EX? I'll throw it over to Hayden.
I think it's game breaking or anything, but just remind me, I did good old Bursting Bloom back from the XY era. Bit of a weaker one. Yeah, this one puts puts 3 on instead of 6.
Yeah.
I don't know, it
So
could matter with like some other weird rogue decks, but
It's definitely a Badoo deterrent, if anything.
Yeah.
If they want to item lock you and you've got this in the active, then they're giving you a price cut.
Yeah, which decks, Aaron, do you feel like are going to benefit from this card?
My first guess would be a Hops deck.
Yeah.
Um,
But is that...
Would it benefit though? I think it's like
That's what I mean.
not a very good card. compared to a lot of the other hops cards. The only thing I think it brings is like draw power, but like, is that 3 energy to get 2 cards?
Yeah, and if it's really fun to do, is it like is there going to be a lot of items used in the hops deck anyway? Like I don't know.
Yeah, well, I believe they released the 100 cards from that set was Journey Together. So we might have to have a proper look at that in coming weeks.
Yeah,
and sort of
is this a part of the 100, or is this like later?
It's a very good question. Maybe the 100 isn't the full list. They've released 100 cards.
Right.
No, it says all 100 main set cards from the Battle Partners set released in Japan. Oh, Battle Partners is the Japan set, not the Journey Together. So this is this could be from the other half of our Journey Together set.
Yeah.
Right, because our Journey Together is built of 2 different sets from Japan.
Yeah. But let's move on, fellas. Let's go to Drifloon. Psychic, 70 HP. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon the active spot. Drew, any secret sauce to put this with? Resident rogue deck builder?
Not really. It's pretty average. Like, I think you probably get more out of the evolution, but even then, that's just like a hit and run real card. Like,
more of an annoyance in a controlled deck. Maybe pair it.
We've got a better Drifloon. There's funner Drift Blims that boom and explode. Like, it's just not exactly the most exciting variation of these cards.
I agree. The Drifloon kind of deserves. Let's go to the next one. Drift Blim. So this is like the evolution stage 1 with Creepy Wind. Active Pokemon is now confused for 1 psychic, or for 2 psychics, 110 balloon return. Return this Pokemon all attached cards to your hand. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So with 110 HP, it's not really tanking anything and then removing itself from the board. Yeah, not much to say about this one. Honestly, I think the Drifloom is more of a playable card than this.
I agree.
Like, at least with the Drifloom, you can put the Gravity Stone on and bring something to the active and sort of control the game a bit more.
Yeah, I guess from a control perspective.
But I don't know. Like, removing itself from the board.
Yeah. We got Pokemon Center Lady. Heal 60 damage from your opponent, from one of your Pokemon. Covers all special conditions. And plays many supporter cards. So yeah, just another supporter, heal 60. But yeah, just some more cards in here. A couple of reprints, and then some new ones. That's the new cards for the week. Let's move on. So we had a double cup weekend. We have the result.
Every quarter, we have a big double cup weekend.
Yeah.
This is like our main event, I guess you would say, for each quarter. But Hayden, do you want to talk about the numbers, I guess, that sort of show up to this?
Yeah. So basically, the Saturday one that they had in Town Hall, 32 Masters, 11 Juniors, and 8 Seniors. So pretty good numbers for both of them.
32 just misses out on that next point cap, right, of 33 players.
I do believe, I can't remember if they actually capped both the events, because I do know certain venues that actually do restrict access once they've been capped,
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for you, Hayden. Our resident Chen Pao player. What is going on here, man? What is Nathan Spry doing with Chen Pao at number 1? What's happening here?
So, funny story. When I actually ran into him at the challenge the other day, it was just like, he was acting all high, but he's like, it's my dick now. Like, fair enough. Like, he beat Brady, won the cup with it.
You're not allowed to play this anymore because I won with it.
Yeah, because I put his exact 60 to the challenge and won the challenge.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and then he goes like, you copied me.
Oh, no.
But, But I tested the deck myself throughout the whole week. It's pretty interesting. It's a good take on it.
Now we don't
one
have
card that-
lists here. Do we? Is there any?
I'll keep it short, but yeah, the one card that he did put in was the Thornton, which I think was I don't get why Chebal wasn't playing that before,
Yeah.
at least at Twilight Masquerade. Fixes up a lot of like
Yeah,
Rio de Janeiro
that's-
math and
Right.
Dust and all stuff, which is what Chempal faltered to at the beginning of Shredder Fable format. Has just progressively gotten worse and worse. I think Thornton fixes up most of that math, and he played the Luminion as well, which just allows for easy access to get around to it. But
Kind of gets
yeah,
Excalibur live, right? Like even if it gets taken out, maybe only get one.
yeah, that's how he managed to actually win against Brent on the actual day of the tournament. They had the tournament streamed live on Facebook, and
Sick, okay.
Oh, I
Yeah, I
did
was just
see
watching
that.
it.
I didn't get to
Yeah.
watch it.
Oh, really?
That's pretty cool
Yeah.
that they're doing that now.
Yeah, I think Brent took out his only Excalibur, and then he just went like bears but barrel. The whole shenanigans on the board, like the amount of draw power is just insane.
Yeah.
Just found the Thornton Candy Excalibur, just yeah.
Cool.
Those damn
no,
Charizard players
Dex-
always have it, don't they?
Yeah, man.
Deck's really good.
Sweet. And so let's have a look at the other players here. So we had Nathan at Central with Chempal, and Brent was playing Reggie Drago in Central, but then he won at Town Hall with Gardevoir, so he just kind of switched it out there. Was Central first, or was it Town Hall and then Central?
So it was Town Hall and then Central.
Okay, so I wonder why Brent switched. He did well with Gardevoir in Town Hall. Interesting.
He did play Drago this weekend, right? In the
to
the
Birmingham,
regionals.
yeah. He actually
Yeah.
mentioned in his interview something about that he wasn't exactly practicing one certain deck at his league cups and everything in his interview. But
Yeah. Just playing for fun.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Stand still winning.
I mean, making 2 top 2s is crazy. So
Yeah.
Oh, totally. And Aaron, do you feel like this is giving us any indication of like what to expect in cups moving forward? Do we feel like the next cup is gonna, we're gonna see more Gardevoirs here?
I think
Charizard's
it's-
pretty big.
it's a very mixed bag of fish, this one, right? The Ceruledge is interesting. The Chen Pao was unexpected.
Yeah.
And there's not many Reggie Drago players in Sydney at the moment.
Yeah, there just isn't a lot of Reggie Drago players
No.
in Australia. Yeah.
Like of the big players when they go to the regionals, obviously the Australian crew, that's their go-to at the moment. It's very mixed. There's nothing that's like standing out that's saying there's a lot of this, then maybe play this in the future, like the whole triangle situation we spoke about last week.
Yeah. Crazy to see Dragapult Iron Thorns at the bottom here. But, I think once Badu's ready to go and legal, that'll kind of switch up.
Yeah, that's true.
Sweet. So that's the double cup. And now you fellas said that it was streamed on Facebook, right? Do we know where folks can go and maybe check that out?
I actually spoke to the one who actually streamed it to try and get the VOD back probably the day or two after.
Yeah.
And then he said it disappeared from his own profile, unfortunately. So
Oh, no.
that's lost
Oh,
footage.
yeah.
But wait, where was it streamed? On the Good Games
No,
Facebook
it was on
or
his profile on Facebook, yeah.
It'd be good to see more of that, I think. Like,
Oh, 100%.
more big comps, even just in other parts of Australia. That would be great.
For sure. Maybe we can get the early scoop on when these things are on, and maybe give you guys a heads up to all the listeners and people watching. Maybe you can catch it next time. Hopefully they do a few more of those things. I want to jump into the regionals now. We had 2 regionals over the weekend, some crazy stuff. Did you fellas manage to watch it? I only caught a couple of matches here and there. Did you guys manage to see it?
I sat down on my lunch break today. So we were recording on a Monday, and then so in Australia, regionals happen. They probably start. Wouldn't the stream start about 9:30ish at night?
Yeah, something. Like
And run to middle of the morning. So there's no way I'm ever staying up for that. But yeah, pulled up Azul's VOD and watched 3 games in ×2 speed, skipping past all the fillers.
Yeah, Charizard Terapagos
Mm.
in the finals, man. What's going on here? I think
Hey,
didn't I say Charizard last week? I was like Charizard.
Yeah, there was a few of us that might have said Charizard last week.
I know, but people still counted that with like Gardevoir, right? Which is super interesting.
I think Gardevoir might have been the stronger or the safer pick.
I think so.
Charizard really depends on who these people saw in their run.
Yeah. What actually did surprise me was the sheer number of Terapagos in this event. There was a lot of people, even just playing Terapagos Dusknoir, and even if you look at the top 8, there's 3 Palkia Noctows Terapagos.
Totally.
Still pretty strong. I think the control that you have just searching all those cards early game, in whatever matchup it may be. If you go first, it's so much pressure you can apply depending on how stable your board can be set up.
Totally. The only one in the top 8 though, right? For Birmingham.
Oh, the Palkia Noctows are Terapagos decks too.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, they all had it. Yeah.
I thought they were just Palkias. Okay, so that's the. Okay, so that was the finals match then. Yeah, that's kind of crappy that we don't have a list here. I know there's another website we can maybe get that from and show it up in editing.
Yeah.
Do you want to just pull up that first place? Because I believe this is the same player who top 8'd last regionals.
He got second at Stuttgart.
Just take a good look at the list there in the bottom right in a Charizard deck. That Pokestop there.
Yeah.
A little bit out of place.
Very unnatural.
Yeah.
They talked about it a bit in the stream. They interviewed him at a separate time, and he basically said he was always using other people's Pokestops, that he just decided, I'm just going to use it. Let's run it myself.
That's pretty interesting. I suppose, if you price checking properly, which all good players should be doing, and you know where your supporters are, if you've just played an Iona or not, you've used 3 supporters, you've got 2 in the prizes, you sort of know your odds. You're not going to get rid of something you need.
Yeah, because you played a bit of Charizard, Aaron, and has this got the same Ghost lineup, or has it got one less stage?
No, so it's always a 2-1-1. It's the safer lineup. All the Pokemon are pretty standard numbers. Yeah. The Cleffa is give or take, but I think most people run it.
Yeah. So it's really like the collapsed stadium for the Pokestop.
Yeah, essentially that's the main difference. There's nothing really special compared to other lists, like a unfair stamp list.
They've got the one-off power pad in there instead of the 4th oven too.
Oh, there you go.
I think
what
is
true 3 ovens.
Yeah, invisible to the naked eye. I think I just counted the list. I think there's 23 items. So I think a lot of people do tend to view Charizard as not a Pokestop deck, but I think with the way he has built this list, it does seem pretty Pokestop eccentric. I think we were talking before about Aaron. Is that you said if you do know where your supporters, you can Pokestop freely.
Yeah,
totally. And there's not
you have a bit more flexibility.
There's not that many supporters, right?
Yeah. So
that's 10.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a
lot.
Average player like myself, a Pokestop in Charizard is a bit of a noob trap. But when you know what you're doing and you know where your cards are, where your supporters are, and you've got the pal pad,
right? You can go basically if you Pokestop them into the discard, you can just pal pad whenever you want, and then Pidgeot the boss or Pidgeot for the Briar for game
and it won him or put him in a very good position. I think in game 1 possibly of the final round, he had Forest Sealstone in hand, Ultra Board for the Luminion, played the Luminion to pull an Arven out of the deck, attached the Forest Sealstone, and then played Iono instead of the Arven to essentially put the Arven at the bottom of the deck. And then he poker stopped into 2 rare candies. So he like set himself up for success. And he just like, it was hard to come back for the other player from there.
Sweet. Well,
No,
that's
interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet Charizard list. Didn't expect to see Charizard there again, but Charizard's just always pretty
Still
strong.
good.
Yeah, still good. There's no list for the Palkia Noctowl, but I wanted to throw it to Hayden. You played a bit of kind of Palkia. You've done a lot of shenanigans. Like a few of the matches that I versed you in, definitely with Palkia. What was so special about this Terrapagos list? Was Palkia kind of an important part to it? Is it really just get the Greninja going and snipe? Kind of like what we've been seeing here, basically in Sydney for a while. We've actually been seeing that little build for a while.
I have played Palkia, but I don't think I ever touched a game of Palkia Terrapagos because I mainly played Palkia Dusknoir. But a lot of the concepts are still the same. You're still trying to turbo out Moonlight Shuriken when you can necessarily. You have a lot more of, because you're a Noctowl deck, you can run a lot more one-offs. So I think he was playing the one-off Energy Switch, the one-off Thornton. A lot of these cards that you can just be a lot more flexible with and just grab at any time. I did see in his list when I was seeing him play was a 1/1 per barrel line. So you're not exclusively relying on the Noctowls to get you whatever you want. I think it fixes up a lot of your mid-game to late game because you also got the Fezandipity on the bench. And even if they take that out, you still have the good barrel to fall back on if they disrupt you. It's very hard into Charizard, which it was a big struggle in the final for him. Just because there's no way to hit that number unless you're going like full bench with Aries or Underdepths, Palkia, and then you play the Kieran as well, which then I think you actually knock out the Charizard. But it's just such a lot of legwork, and you need to have all the right pieces at the right time. One of our close mates, Jeremy Lim, actually made day 2 with sort of a similar list. I don't think he didn't play the 1/1 per line, but he nailed it. And
over in Birmingham, he went over there with Brent.
Or? Oh no, sorry, this was back in Perth. My bad, but
okay.
I think a lot of the
list, you got like 42nd or something.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. I think a lot of the list was almost the same, other than the 1/1 bib line, but it's just very consistent. I think just any Terrapagos deck that just knows what they're doing can just win games outright.
Yeah, Noctowl is just just a scary card, man.
Was it Jonathan who came second here in Birmingham? Was it his list that was playing the Glass Trumpets, or was it who was playing that? I didn't mind them. Sort of
Jonathan was playing the Glass Trumpets. Yeah,
there's another way of Glass Trumpets and Energy Switch, right? So another way of setting up Greninjas without using your V-Star.
Yes, with the Energy Switches, and you could even Thornton out a Terrapagos that has energy on it into a ready Greninja, and then just go for a snipe late game if the opponent's not too
surprise.
Legitimately actually almost got me with that. At a cup once. But it's a sneaky play to make. You can always just take games like that.
Yeah, as a Charizard player, knowing that everyone else is starting to use Thornton now, I'm a little bit offended. I don't like being on the receiving end of it.
You can thank Reggie Drago for that.
Yeah, I wish we could pull up a list for that Terrapagos deck. I can't find it. I can't find one, but next time I'll make sure that we got them. But we'll try and put it up in the editing for you folks to have a look at afterwards. Third, we've got Brent. He's just been killing it, man. He's just having an insane insane
Our main
season,
man.
Yeah, insane season. What's anything different in the Drago list? Like, I've played a little bit of Drago recently, and it's just I don't really like the whole Noctowl. And there is a Noctowl in this, and so I kind of really dig that. I think that's
He's actually cut the Noctowl list.
Yeah, there's no Noctowl in this one. It's all just straight up, Ogerpon, draw through your deck, Mew.
He dropped a Noct. Okay, I didn't realize that. But he's been a big Noctowl player in Dragon.
The 1/1, yeah. I think they took the idea from John Ing's list when he topped original with Drago. And then they just sort of went with that because, if you find the right cards at the right time, like again saying, Noctowl can find you those cards without committing to your V-Star.
Totally. The other card here that I see that's really interesting is the Temple of Sinnoh. I know we see the Jamming Tower a lot in the deck, or sometimes you switch between the two, but do we feel like, that was there for Lugia? Did we think Lugia was going to be something to worry about?
I think it pops up every now and then. I think they've had this in their list in and out every so often. But
almost
you go.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say almost like a preemptive tech, like Lugia's been flying under the radar for so long, maybe they expected it to have a bigger showing.
It's a bit of a difficult
What I think as well is, so recently Gabriel Fernandez won an online tournament with a massive amount of people, and he did it with just a pure Terrapagos Dusknoir deck. So I'm wondering if that caused a massive influx of all those Terrapagos players to come to Birmingham, and the Sinnoh might have been a tech for all them as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting.
Yeah. You have to attach two DTS to swing with the Terrapagos.
How does a Terrapagos into Regidrago matchup go? Obviously without the temple. Is it even or?
Yeah, it's
I think Regidrago's slightly favoured.
Right.
Yeah.
Depends.
So it's not like they're bringing.
It's that first knockout is pretty important.
Yeah, true.
And if you if you're getting down that Squawkabilly, it's a pretty big liability too. Yeah, but it really is. It really is just about if you get the first knockout a lot of the time. Yeah.
I think before we touch off of Brent's list, I do want to say that they played a counter catcher in their list for this one, which is quite interesting. I think with all the aggro decks, it's fair enough, and I think you're probably committing to research a lot of the time. If research or INO, somewhat of draw support early game to see more cards, you see energy switches and everything. So boss becomes a lot less likely early game. So if you're going behind, and you don't want to waste the prime catcher or anything, you see the counter catcher, and they take the prize on the Cleffer if you can lead that active.
If they can't get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
It's pretty sneaky.
That is pretty spicy, actually. I like that one. And then we've just got another Charizard. Is this list basically the same? Any differences?
It's pretty standard. The Poker League headquarters is not something you'd normally see. Yeah, I don't hate the double Rotom, but I do dislike the fact that he's dropped the netball for it. I feel like it's just more flexibility. But as Drew said, if he prizes it, it's a bit hard. But
yeah, sweet.
And there's no Cleffer in this list either.
No, there's no Cleffer in the list. I wonder if
Rotom becomes a lot more important.
Exactly. Rotom becomes now. Maybe that's the reason why there's two here. They preferred getting the Rotom over the Cleffer. Interesting.
Yeah. Also, you can also say the one research there too. Yeah. Not too sure what that's for, but
older lists when I first started playing early last year, the one of research was fairly common as in Charizard you don't have much draw engine, so to quick search for that Professor Research to reset your hand essentially is always good to get back in the game. But then there's so many tech cards trying to be crammed into Charizard these days, it sort of just fell out.
A lot of tech cards and like consistent C cards. It just feels very counterintuitive.
Definitely.
Yeah, you better be slamming like Iono rather than Research.
I want to play OG Zard. I think that's the best way to play Zard.
Get rid of the Duskulls, you reckon?
That's it.
Chuck
the one Pokestop in there.
That's it, man. One Pokestop. Hayden, favorite deck of Birmingham out of the top 8?
Birmingham, eh? I could be a little bit biased here. I think I do love the Charizard with the one Pokestop.
Yeah.
Because I think in his list that he did play at Stuttgart, I think he played 2 Pokestop and a few more cards that didn't exactly gel like a normal Zard deck did. But I think this one he went more standard Zard and then went less of the Pokestop. Like Pokestop just felt like a lot of a win more. So I don't blame him for this, and he got rewarded. So
yeah.
Where did he play that list? Sorry, where was the last?
So that was the
this was its
first place Birmingham list, right?
No, yeah, sorry. When did he top 8?
the second place Stuttgart, I believe.
Stuttgart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I like this list a lot. Like I would try it if we had any more events near us left. But
don't tempt
that's
me.
personally for me.
You heard it here first, folks. Play Charizard. You heard it from Hayden. Aaron, are you gonna pick Charizard too, aren't you?
I do like the list, but I do. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if the Pokestop's for me. I'm not that great of a player, obviously, compared to how do you pronounce it? Ojvind.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Odvind.
I'm going to go the opposite way of Hayden. I think the Palkia Noctowl with the trumpets, and the energy switch, it's just more options.
Really?
Would I play it? Probably not, because like I said, I'm not that great of a player. But I think it just brings more options to that deck. You're not relying on that V-Star ability as long as you have the Terapagos on the field.
Totally. And you're biased because you just always play Charizard.
I'm trying not to be biased on Charizard.
And Drew, what are you going with? You're going with the Terapagos Dusknoir, aren't you? You got to go with Regidrago.
Is that what you reckon?
That's what's left. Yeah, use it, man.
I don't have a lot of faith in the Executor and the Regidragos. So those of you that don't know, me and Miles got to our final match and it came to a coin flip and it didn't really pay out for him.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't think I'm ever going to be playing Drago again. I'm playing Dragapult this weekend.
Executed himself.
Yeah, no, I'm backing all the Palkia Noctowls. Just seeing them in the top 8 makes me happy.
Yeah.
And you'll see why when we move to the next regional.
The size, but totally different meta, right? We've got Palkia at the top still. So this is Terapagos again up the top. So I think maybe that is a deck to really look at. But then we've got Iron Thorns coming in second, which this deck just continues to sneak its way into top cuts. Drago again in there, which isn't really hard to see. Interesting to see what list that is. Again, Charizard in here. Cloth. Cloth is pretty sweet. You played Cloth, I think, last Friday, Drew. So it'd be cool to see what that list is like. And some more Drago. So really the Thorns, Drago, and Zard kind of top 8 with a couple of outliers here. Let's start with the winning list. Palkia. So Drew, you played a bit of Palkia. Is there a reason why you would play it with the Noctowl, not just go Ghosts?
different approach, probably more consistent. I think you're not relying on the raw draws of Pokestop and trekking shoes and all that sort of extra thing there, but you also don't hand over prizes too. Like, you're not playing that sort of prize mapping. They're similar and they function quite the same in some areas, but they're also very different in the fact that you've got Terapagos as an attacker as well. I think you get off more Radiant Greninja snipes than you probably would with the Palkia Dusknoir, just because of the trumpets and the friggin' energy switch. Like, I've played it quite a bit, and you find that you can actually pull it off like quite consistently more than once. I think Palkia is your main attacker outside of the Radiant Greninja. The Terapagos isn't going to hit as hard as that, and if you get a full Area Zero bench, both sides, you're hitting close to 400, aren't you? I think 400 and something.
So
yeah, we've all been on the receiving end when you overbench.
Yeah.
Hayden, why are we not just playing then? Why we're not just playing 4 Palkias and just get rid of Terapagos, or 1 Terapagos for the to use that stadium?
So it's funny that you actually asked that. If you actually look back at the Rio results, you saw the second place was Iron Thorns.
Yeah.
So if you were to drop Terapagoses and just go 4/4 Palkia, yeah, there's very little chance that you're actually ever winning that much up, because Terapagos actually is a bit more flexible, and you're actually having those Noctiles to search out those down boosting cards. Like, you spread wide with your bench on Terapagos, and then again, say like you go Kieran, and then knock out 1, and then you sort of just playing the prize map from there.
Right.
Yeah, main attacker that much up, and it's like, yeah, it's always just good to have that option too. You're not relying heavily on Palkia.
Yeah.
I'd also add that if you take out Terapagos, you take out the Area Zero and the Noctowl, because they don't work.
It's like half the engine. And the trumpets.
Yeah.
And the switches, energies. What about this Ditto? I haven't seen many Palkia lists. I haven't really been looking at Palkia.
Actually,
you can draw it off the poffer and put it in the active, and then you can grab anything from that. Well, any basic, obviously.
Yeah, it seemed to, from the games I saw, it seemed to be really strong. Like, Poffin, pretty much playing Poffin for a Radiant Greninja.
You just go like fan rotom, and then just stick the fan rotom in the active, and then so like they either have to knock it out or go around it. Like, it's pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah.
Do you think it would work in many other decks, or is this sort of like a niche market for the Ditto?
It's colorless, so it works pretty well with Terapagos. I remember when start of Temporal Forces actually, when Champower had its like massive like competitive curve, we had a couple of players playing Ditto to get switch that with like a Champower to the active, to instantly get the Shiver Shelf. There are some like niche cases that some decks can do it, but I think it does find a home in Terapagos decks, just so it can like
essentially more prevalent in maybe fan rotom decks as well.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
Totally. Does it rotate?
Grab it off.
Does it rotate at all? No.
That's from 151.
Oh, okay.
So G stamp.
Interesting. All right, let's jump over to the second place list. I don't think any of us have played Iron Thorns. I mean, I've played like a couple of tournaments, but not enough to really talk too much about it. Have you guys played it? Played a lot against it.
Yeah, played a lot against it.
I guess you're our resident kind of, I don't know, play annoying decks guy. How do you feel about
great.
how do you feel about Iron Thorns?
Well, I think it has a place. I think it's definitely shown that it's a deck to be reckoned with. But I definitely look at this deck as it's only making an appearance because it's reading the meta to benefit from that. If the meta isn't right, the deck isn't right. I don't see anything
Nothing surprising.
Other than maybe the Energizer TM, but there's nothing really different about it. It's pretty standard.
The Energizer is something standard.
Yeah, I was thinking it was, just trying to find something.
I'm just trying to, crush for. Trying to look at the difference between.
Sorry.
The difference between the two lists. This second place list only has one Eerie,
right,
and an Iono. I don't know if the Iono is standard. I think they play more judges.
Three judge.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, it's playing the 3 judges. We're talking about the second place list, yeah?
Yes, yeah. I'm just sort of comparing them to the 4th place or wherever it was.
The Devo's something new that I don't think I've seen too much yet. Obviously, the Energizer's there to help you get that energy. But the Devo's interesting because you are swinging for 140. You can 2-shot most things. I guess if you miss the 2-shot, you can just Devo, I guess.
I think the Devo's more for the Charizard matchup. It doesn't really affect the Dragapult because most Dragapults are going through the Dracloak stage 1 line. But with Charizard, if you don't have that Devo, it takes you sometimes 3 attacks to get through a Charizard.
Yeah, well,
you gotta hope you're flipping heads. But yeah, you tap it once and then you Devo it, and then they're out of the game again. Whether they've used their cologne or somehow managed to attach 2 energies over time.
I like the Devo because when I played the deck, you could get 280 pretty good because you're doing 140, right? And then you've got the boost here. So even if you're adding the DTE, this gets you back up to 140, you get to 280. What I found that I struggled with was the Pokemon like the Gardevoirs, like the Dragapults, these Pokemon that have over 300 HP, right? More than 280. So maybe the Devo is really nice to kind of just, you swing 140, boss, swing to another one, take 2 prizes, something like that, the 3rd turn. But, yeah, I don't know. It's Thorns. It's Thorns. All right, so 3rd place was Regidrago. I don't know if you fellas have seen the lists for this. We'll make sure we grab these ones as well for you. But we got Drago, Zard, and Cloth. Let's talk about Cloth. Drew, you played Cloth a little bit to a couple of tournaments. Why is there only one here? I feel like this has a pretty good matchup into basically everything, 50-50 in a Drago.
I think that's not true. I think it's fallen off a lot. I think it was really good when it caught a lot of people off guard. It definitely has a lot of solid matchups, but when you run into things like Gardevoir, it just feels crap. Like single prizes are not fun to verse with Cloth. It's good in the Charizard, so if there's a lot of Charizards, it'll probably work in your favor. I'm wondering if maybe the Regidrago matchup isn't actually that great, but I think it just comes down to who goes first, who gets set up, or things like that. But I think, it really just comes down to like you can see in the recent regionals, it wasn't as popular as it usually is. Like it's really dropping in popularity, and I think it's because a lot of people are just knowing how to play around it now. Like don't bench one Pokemon at the start. Don't make those mistakes. You know how they're playing.
12% meta share.
Everyone's running bloody jamming towers and.
Going to be seeing a lot of that post rotation.
Yeah, but it's a great deck. But yeah, I think there's definitely a reason it's not showing up in everywhere anymore.
Are you playing it to the next regionals, Hayden? Is Cloth the deck for you?
I don't think you'll ever see me pick a Cloth deck. As maybe as like as I think that is funny. Yeah, it's like not my cup of tea, but I'd love to see a bunch of other people pilot it and
Sad
take it further. I'm all for people taking all these kinds of off the wall decks, like the high finishes and everything. Yeah, Lucas taking it to a top 4 in Perth. Back in December was really good. And then beating him on Saturday felt even better.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, it's interesting.
Aaron, the deck for you from Rio.
From Rio. If I was to play any of these,
Yeah, if you're gonna pick Charizard again, aren't you?
I'd have to play Charizard, wouldn't
Charizard.
I? Like Thorns is playable. I don't
They might
super
not
like the
play.
control.
They might not play the stop, man. You don't know.
It might not. It might not. Yeah, out of these, like I maybe wouldn't mind playing some Drago or some Charizard.
Yeah.
And my question is so Guardy's got a good Cloth matchup. It's got a fairly decent Thorns matchup if you can get the what's that ancient Pokemon called? Stops
You can stick the
abilities.
clef key in the active.
If you can chuck the clef key, even the clef key works, right? So did Guardy just not show?
Yeah.
Is it not popular in Latin America?
Well, was it even played? I don't even know if it was played. We don't have all the decks here, so we're gonna have to have a look into that. But I don't even know how many people even played Gardevoir at the last tournament.
It could just be a lot of Charizards in Latin America, and if that's the case, maybe it's not something you want to play.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me because that group over there played a lot of Charizard too. William and stuff. So yeah, sweet. Drew, your deck, Iron Thorns.
No, Claw for life, maybe.
Claw for life. Claw for life. Any particular, variation of cloth, or just the general kind of flavor?
I'm not a fan of the Genesect, and I love turn ones. Like I want to be that jerk that donks a Klepper turn one.
Don't worry, you are.
So that's my variation, but what variation they're playing, I assume, is probably the Genesect variation.
Sweet. And Hayden, for you?
I mean, if it's not going to be Charizard, think, yeah, probably Palkia, Terrapagos, like that. That Ditto is like just changes your turn one consistency like to a lot more. Like just nest ball instead of like if you don't open the bottom, one nest ball just gets you to the rest, and then yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do like that list. I think it's a very similar list from the few that were in the
Yeah, I kind of want to play this on Friday
in Birmingham.
Sweet fellas. So that's the regionals that happen over the weekend. We've got any upcoming events that we want to talk about? Anything that this weekend?
This weekend we do have San Antonio.
The San Antonio.
Is that still the same format, right? Because it's only been a week
same
since.
format.
Yeah.
Another swing and a miss.
It's a week after it becomes legal.
Yeah, true. Okay. So yeah, there's not much to really answer then. Like, does Reggie Drago come back? Does Palkia?
There's Miraidon with all these Palkias.
Yeah. Are we going to see faster turbo decks to come in and clean up these Palkias? Yeah. And then again, if that's the answer, why aren't we just playing Charizard to clean up the turbo decks? Which is what I said last week.
Because of the Reggie Dragos.
Because of the Reggie Dragos.
Triangle format.
Yeah, so I think it's a very wide format. I'm not sure you can really go.
It's an ugly triangle, but it's there.
It's got three corners. Pick one. But that's this format, right? It's been going on a little bit too long, but it's good that it's so varied.
I think the Charizard and Terrapagos, I think those two decks and Drago, I think those are the ones. Saw some interesting moon things coming back, which was kind of interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Sweet. So I just wanted to really quickly jump over to the tier list. Not to do anything too crazy or try to take too long on it, but just to give people an idea maybe what to expect either going into the next regionals or even in the next kind of cups and challenges that we might have coming up going forward. So I guess I wanted to really just jump in here, place the decks in, and we just put in our percentage share. Charizard Pidgeot, do we feel like that's S tier or A tier?
I would say low A, maybe even B.
Yeah.
Like it wins most against most of the room, but if most of the room is Drago.
Yeah. And what percentage do you feel like that's going to be, Aaron?
What did it have this weekend? 10%. So
I think it was at Birmingham. Let's have.
Might even be less than that.
Is that 25% share at Birmingham?
Is that the top 8 though?
That's counting top 8.
It's counting.
That's top 8, yeah. Yeah, I believe it was close to 10. Let's just stick with the same number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it going up. If anything, it might go down.
Yeah.
17%.
17.
Yep, that's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, it was 17. Okay.
Or 15.
Or maybe 12 to 30, 14.
Drew, Cloth Terrapagos.
Oh,
S tier.
yeah, man, always. I'd probably drop it into B at the moment. I just feel like everyone knows how to play around it more than they used to, and it just depends on the matchups. I'm expecting the next regional there's going to be more Guardy, and that's just not going to work for Cloth.
Yeah.
So I would probably give it. What was it? It was like a 6% share last regional.
Not sure.
Birmingham 5%.
Yeah, really low. So I'll go with. It did.
3%.
It did make like an increase into day 2, but I don't think it did enough to
increase play.
Like for everybody to want to back it for this regional. So I think just keep it at 5.
I agree. Hayden, Reggie Drago.
I think Reggie Drago is just always just going to sit at S tier. Like, very, like, as hard as it is to say and easy it is, like, to just really say it, like, as a player, like, it's got so few bad matchups, and then all the good players are just going to keep bringing it, they're going to know how to play around a lot of stuff, especially after this regional.
Percentage should still be low, though, right?
I'd say... Because we're going into an American regional, there's a lot more Reggie Drago players there, so I'd probably maybe fit it like maybe 18, like high hopes 19%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a pretty strong deck still, and you can't go wrong with it. Even if you don't make top 8, you can quite easily make day 2 if you play it pretty good. But it is a hard deck to play. I will say that though. Gardevoir. Actually, let's do Ceruledge. Aaron, what do you feel like? Do you like Ceruledge?
In this format?
Yeah.
No.
You hate it? Are you an Arch Aladon? Are you more of an Arch Aladon person?
No, neither. If you're asking me personally, the decks themselves, well, they're both turbo decks, right?
They are, yeah.
So
in a format where I feel like turbo decks are just
turbo, yeah.
bad.
It really depends on what you're comfortable with these sort of turbo decks. I wouldn't imagine seeing them any more than 3%. If we're lucky. It didn't really show this weekend. Everyone, I think, jumped on that Archaladon from seeing the Japanese Japanese League, Champions League,
Sure.
and I think they jumped on a format too early.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Archelon's got some promise, but I think, yeah, it's too early to really tell. Hayden, Lugia Archeops, still the best deck in the format? I love Lugia. It just, you hit it or you just don't hit it. I've had some really good runs with it, and it made me be like, I want to play it again. And then you play it again.
Yeah.
And you just get energy every turn.
Yeah. I actually got to be careful here with my answer. I'm going to get scorned by Javins next week.
He's going to definitely say it.
Yeah. I would probably... very hard. I think it's teetering within A or B. I think... because it barely showed up at Birmingham. Like, I probably put it in B.
Yeah, I agree.
But we're going to America.
Temple of Sinnoh in being played a bit more does make
Reggie Drago and such, yeah. I think A is very generous, but B is like a solid choice, I would say.
Better than Cloth, yeah.
It's still the same deck. It's like like still consistent. Once you get rolling, like with the double archeops and like all the other shenanigans that you can really just go off with, like it's still a solid deck. But
yeah, and you'll just see people like Kieran and stuff that just keep playing it.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think for the percentage on Lugia? You would think less than Cloth?
I would go maybe 10.
10% for Lugia.
Yeah, 10 or 11.
Has been quiet for a while, so it might.
Maybe 10. Maybe we'll leave it at 10. I don't see. I feel like there's going to be a bit more Charizard than Lugia.
Yeah,
there's always more Charizard.
12.
After winning that last
More
regional,
than-
Yeah.
But I feel like more than 2%
Yeah, no, bump it up. What do we have there? 12 or?
for Charizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12.
What is? I can't see that.
Maybe we go. Oh, sorry.
Put it up to 15.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Drew, Gardevoir. Is it the better Zard? Is it better than Zard? Both Evo decks. One does spread.
It is better than Zard. I would put it in front of Zard. I probably wouldn't give it as much percentage as Zard. I'd say it's less, but I think it's going to have more success.
Yeah, I kind of like Guardy in this format.
I think it depends also what kind of style of Guardy you're running. If you're running the fast Guardy with the candies or the slow Guardies without, like there's also that factor that you have to consider.
Yeah.
And
like
Zard can also just play the vacuums too.
Which one do you like better, Hayden? Gardevoir?
He's biased.
If I'm gonna say honest, I would honestly say probably slow Guardy because you also still have that turn second Evo play.
Yeah.
With the two goalies as well. I think it's a lot more work if you can bench Manaphy as well. There's a lot more work for Reggie Drago to really clear your board. I don't think it changes that much for Zard. I'm actually of the opposite opinion with Drew. I think Zard plays in a Guardy a little bit better. It depends whether or not they're playing Devo.
Oh, yeah. I reckon Zard beats Guardy. I just think Guardy's a better
overall
deck.
A better play for the tournament.
Yeah. But I would guarantee probably slow Guardy. You have a bit more options. You're not having candies clunking up the space because you don't know when you can draw them, and you're relying on Arvin to hard grab it out of the deck.
Yeah, it feels like the format's a lot slower now as well, so it kind of plays into the Evos and taking a bit of time to kind of get there because all the top decks are evolution decks anyway. There is no turbos. What do you feel like the percentage on this is going to be, Drew?
Who's America? I think they like it a bit. I reckon 9%.
Yeah, that sounds fair to me. Raging Bolt, Aaron, does anyone even play this anymore?
Yeah, in Australia on a Friday night, sure.
We can probably.
I think it's maybe slightly above the rest of the turbos. What do we got them at? 3%. Let's put it in there at 5 because it's still.
Do we feel like it's
maybe
the
even
best?
6?
Do we feel like it's a C tier better than Archaladon, Cerulege?
I think it's more consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think and a lot of players are more comfortable with it. It's been in the format for a while. It does the same thing as the rest.
3%.
6% minimum.
6%.
It's very autopilot.
Yeah.
Very.
Like, I've played it myself. Like, if you know how to play it right, it's just you just shut your brain off.
Yeah.
And just go when you want an easy local night. Do we feel like Turbo, Roaring Moon, and Maridon are going to see similar play to Raging Bolt, or more so Archaladon and Cerulege, where it's like you're either playing Bolt as your Turbo, or you're just not playing Turbo?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Again, it's they all do very similar things, right? Maridon probably might see a little bit more play with the promise of a few more Lugias in the format in the tournament.
Yeah.
Moon is just again a niche pick.
Yeah. I agree. Let's go with. I won't put Pidgeot Control or Stall. I don't think either of those are like going to be too played, and we don't have to worry too much about them. But I do definitely want to place Ancient Box, Goldengo, and Dragapult. Goldengo, I mean, there were a couple of really good finishes last week at locals, but we've seen Goldengo time and time again just kind of come back. I'm not fully sold on the Toga Kiss. Hayden, you won locals on Friday with Goldengo, right? Like, is this S tier secretly?
We'd be really like big, like Golding is like #1 fans if we really do want to put in us. But I think there's just not too many like high tier players like taking it to events.
Yeah.
Could just be that there are just better decks that they would prefer taking. One of the big ones last time I remember was Owen Kammerman. That's Stuka, I believe, for one of the European regionals, where he took the Palkia version to the finals. But like, I played the Palkia version at the locals that I won. I don't think I even slammed Palkia once onto my bench, or like the situation just didn't come up.
Right.
But I think it's a lot more reliable as compared to the Toad Kiss, where you're just trying to find the rare candy and the Toad Kiss, especially if you're on a 101 line. It's just a lot more of hard work to deal with yourself. But
especially with the Evos going around at the top here,
yeah,
being able to snap that 9 is pretty good.
Yeah, I would probably put it in C. Yeah, top of C.
Yeah.
I like it better than Raging Bolt.
Yeah.
Like it's just the most like undisruptible deck in the format. Like, if you fall behind on Dingo, like, I just think you're not coming back unless you've got like decks like Zard or Drago. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
I also think it's going to have like 1% share. I don't know if a lot of people are going to play it maybe 3% like the others. Like,
I think it'll be more than that.
Yeah?
Well, maybe 3 times the amount before you said.
I'd probably like, maybe 5. 5 is good. 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're playing either Goldengo or Raging Bolt, right? But again, it just shows you the dominance of like evolution decks in the meta right now, which is just crazy.
I think just decks like Goldengo and Raging Bolt don't have too many aggressive options. I think that's also why like a lot of top players are preferring other archetypes than these two.
And well, I've actually played a bit of Ancient Box, and it did good in Japan. I don't know if it's doing as well anywhere else. I think it's one of those decks that, you just need to play it at the right time. What I will say about Ancient Box is if this was if this was literally, right, a turbo format, right? Let's say there was no Evo decks, no spread decks, it was totally just turbo. Ancient Box is just best deck. Like, I feel like it just beats all of the turbo decks quite easily just because of that trade. It's just when you have to more than two-shot, a Pokemon that it kind of fails. And that's where these tanks like Charizard and, the Dragos with that, with the Goodra, this is where these things start to become annoying. So, I don't see it better than any of these decks, but I definitely see it kind of, C tier-ish, like here somewhere.
Do you agree with that, Drew?
Yeah, how do you feel, Drew?
I think if a Caledon has a higher play rate, it just pushes Ancient's Box down further. So it's just dependent on that.
Should we give them this?
I don't like it's a deck. It can do stuff, but it's just a deck, and it just shouldn't be a deck.
He let it out.
Oh, cold-blooded.
You got to stop sitting on the fence with this Ancient Box, and just tell us how you really feel.
Just tell us how you really feel. If that's how you want.
Yeah, I'd play Iron Thorns before. I'd play that deck.
Oh man, that's a good joke, man. That's a good. Sweet. And let's the king. All hail the Dragapult. I really love Dragapult. I'm probably gonna play this weekend. Where do we put good old Dragapult Iron Thorns?
Are we actually? Because this is just for still this format, correct?
Still the same format, yeah. So
I would probably put it in B.
Yeah,
I'd say B.
This is the Iron Thorns deck I said I would play, by the way.
Oh, sure. He's backpedaling now. If you're not on 4 Thorns this weekend, man, I'm watching you.
Do you feel less than Charizard, more than Lugia in play?
Yes, good question.
Fair assumption.
I think a lot more people are starting to pick this list up and play around with it a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. There we have it, fellas. If you're going to an upcoming Cup, Challenge, Regional, anything, then you just need to play Regidrago, because it's just the number 1 S tier deck. But play one of these top decks. Gardevoir's looking good. We're liking Charizard. We don't have the there's Cloth Terapagos here, but we don't have the Palkia one. I guguess it's not in the system yet. I think that's probably like A tier, something like that. So that's another kind of deck to consider. But I think this is pretty accurate, and we're just going to see what happens in the coming weeks. I know that once Badu is legal, things will change again, and we'll probably do one of these. But what we want to try and do next week is basically have a look at this and just give you some percentage updates in case things change, or if anything does change for tournaments the following weekend. I'm going to try and do this type of thing. Any of the decks that you might not have seen today, we're going to try and grab those and put them in post. But that is basically everything, fellas. I think that is the show for today. If you like the show, the Squawk and Talk podcast, the number 1 for your Australian Pokemon TCG, meta, decks, news, everything, we got it here. We are on Spotify, right? I think we're on Spotify now, as well as YouTube. So if you don't like looking at our faces and you prefer listening to our voices, then give us a check out on Spotify. Otherwise, you can head on over to YouTube and give us a like, share, follow there. And leave us a comment. What do you want to see? Do you want us to improve things on the show? Do you hate the music? Do you love the music? Do you want to see more decks? Do you want to see the game come back from our pilot episode? If you haven't seen our pilot episode, go ahead and watch that as well. Give you a bit of introduction to all of us as players and people in the community. And I think that's it. Follow us on Twitter. That is the show, folks. I'm your host, and on behalf of Hayden, Aaron, Drew, this is the Squawk and Talk podcast, and we'll catch you all next time.
See you.
Cheers.